All right. Happy Sabbath. Today is, I always start with the date here because it is February 4, 2017. All right. And we had finished our series about the French Revolution. That was very interesting. We had learned so much about it. But now we realize that there's more prophecies that is being revealed to us in the end time, and it comes from Daniel 11, right? And let me move myself here to the right. Okay, the time of the end. Declaring the end from the beginning. Jesus says, I am the Alpha and Omega, because I can declare the end from the beginning. And if we are to have the character of Jesus, by studying prophecies, we are going to be able to declare the end from the beginning. Because studying the beginning of what happened in the beginning of Daniel 11, we will know what is going to happen at the end of Daniel 11, right? Declaring end from the beginning. All right, so that's why I put this. You know, this is when Babylon fell, right? When Babylon fell, who attacked Babylon? Medo-Persia, right? Who was the king and what's the name of his general? It was Cyrus, and what's the name of his general? His own uncle. It's Darius, his own uncle, right? Darius the Mede. And Cyrus, he was a Persian king, right? So, which king did he defeat in Babylon? Belshazzar, right? Belshazzar. But remember, at that time, how many kings were there that ruled? There was two kings that was ruling, because his father Nabonidus was away. He was still king, but he let his son rule as a co-regent at that time. Okay, so we will continue now with studying from Daniel 11. All right. Start with this quotation from Manuscripts Release 13. We have no time to lose. Troublous times are before us. The world is stirred with the spirit of war. Soon the scenes of trouble spoken of in the prophecies will take place. The prophecy in the 11th of Daniel has nearly reached its complete fulfillment. Remember, Ellen White wrote this obviously in the, in the early, 19 something. I won't know. I didn't put down what year she actually wrote this, right? But this was the end of the 1800s or the early 1900s. The prophecy, she says that the 11th of Daniel has nearly reached its complete fulfillment, all right? So part of it is already completed, right? But there's the end part has not completely fulfilled, all right? So when you study Daniel 11, most of it is already fulfilled, but the last part is not fulfilled yet. Much of the history that has taken place in fulfillment of this prophecy will repeat it. Okay, right? Daniel 11 is like this. This is a vision. What kind of vision is a prophetic vision that says all the kings, all the what's going to happen? What kind of vision is that? It's a Chaozone vision. Okay, that Chaozone vision has been going on like this. And then Ellen White says, here, everything has been fulfilled. From there on, it has not been fulfilled. But what has been fulfilled already will be repeated. Okay? This is very important. What has been fulfilled already in the past, right, will be repeated. And she goes on. In the 30th verse, a power is spoken of, all right, that shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return. So basically she repeated verse 30 to 36. And she says 30 to 36 will be repeated in the future. All right? Okay. So when we were studying this and then we went to a 30, 36, well, we see that's true. It will be repeated. But we will find out that the earlier verses are also repeated. Scenes similar to those described in these words will take place. We see evidence that Satan is fast obtaining the control of human minds who have not the fear of God before them. Let all read. Everybody's going to read and understand the prophecies of this book. Oh boy. Okay. Have we been studying Daniel 11 to figure out what are the prophecies? Because Ellen White says everybody, all have to read and understand the prophecies of Daniel 11. For we are now entering upon the time of trouble. All right? Spoken of. And she's quoted Daniel 12. That's when Michael stands up. And we know Michael stands up is the close of probation for the whole world. All right, okay. Okay. After the seven thunders uttered their voices. Now this is in Manuscript Releases, book 19, page 320. After the seven thunders uttered their voices. The instruction. Now the seven thunders was in which book in the Bible? Revelation which one? Revelation 10. No, Revelation 10. Revelation 10, the seven thunders. Okay, but what happened? The seven thunders, it was to be sealed up, right? It was to be sealed. The seven thunders was to be sealed. The instruction comes to John as Daniel in regard to the little book, okay? Because the little book also has to be sealed, all right? Meaning it will not be revealed until, all right, seal up those things which the seven thunders uttered. These relate to future events. So what is in the seven thunders is also in the little book, all right? The seven thunders was given to John and it is sealed. The little book was given to Daniel and it is sealed. And it is future events, all right, which will be disclosed in their order, and it's going to be disclosed by order. It's going to not all going to be given all at one time. It's going to be given one at a time. Daniel shall stand in his lot at the end of the days. What does it mean? All right, we know what this means. Ellen White says that Daniel will stand in his lot, meaning the prophecies of Daniel will be understood.
Jimmy cannot read.
Oh.
Maybe she's not out of focus.
Okay. All right. Maybe the internet connection. Can you, RC? Can you check it? Can you? All right.
It might be his connection.
All right. Okay. All right.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. Okay. It's probably his connection.
For sure.
All right. All right. Daniel shall stand in his lot at the end of the days. All right. What does that mean? We know our pioneers knew what this meant. When Daniel can stand spiritually in his lot in the end times, it's not that Daniel suddenly, is resurrected from the dead. No. It means that his prophecies will be understood. All right. Then he can stand in his lot. John sees the little book unsealed. So John sees the little book unsealed. So when the little book is unsealed, also the seven thunders is also unsealed. Then Daniel's prophecy have their proper place in the first, second, and third angel's message to be given unto the world. When is the first and second and third angel's message first given? From 1798 until October 22, 1844. The first angel's message was given 1798, and the third angel's message was finally given on October 22, 1844. But there was no Sunday law yet, obviously. So it has to be repeated again in our time, right? Right? Because God's people were not ready. It has to be repeated in our time again. So when does the when does the first and second angel's message going to be repeated in a time? Well, that's for us, that's another study, but we won't go there. But the unsealing of the little book was the message in relation to time. So the little book was unsealed to the Millerites, right? The little book was unsealed to the Millerites, and it was about in relation to time. It was about the prophecies that was going to be revealed in between 1798 and October 22, 1844. Right. There's 7 time prophecies. That's the 7 thunders. 7 time prophecies. All right. Okay. All right. 7 time prophecies. That was the 7 thunders. But also the little book. So now after we put all this, it is the little book is the portion of Daniel 11 that has not yet been fulfilled at the time of the Millerites. At the time of when Ellen White wrote this. Okay? So we're going to see which part of Daniel 11 was not yet fulfilled. Okay? Remember, RC, which part of Daniel 11 is not yet 40? Daniel 11 verse 40 to 45. But which part of Daniel 11 verse 40?
Part 2.
Part B.
Part B.
Because part A is already fulfilled, right? Okay. Right. That is the little book. That little book that Ellen White said has not been yet fulfilled. That will be revealed to us. Okay.
Those are the gaps you're trying to fill in between Part A and Part B.
Yeah, we're filling it in, but we're at. Okay, we'll get there. I see. Okay. So this is. Oh, I got this. I should have cleaned up my. I added more. Okay, this is part A. Is part A, and at the time of the end. All right, the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him. Right. This is part A. The time of the end. Okay, we know that the time of the end is 1798. And then the king of the south is France with General Berthier and Napoleon. So there was Napoleon and Berthier going against the king of the north, which is the papacy. Right? And still the king of the south pushed at him. So the king of the north, which is the papacy, was conquered by Napoleon and Berthier, which is the king of the south. And France at that time was the king of the south, right? Because France was, became a republic. And they became the symbol of atheism because they trampled down God's Bible, right? And they abolished the Catholic Church, every religion they abolished, and they became an atheistic country, right? When they actually killed King Louis XVI, right? And he was guillotined in 1793, right? From that time on, they became an atheistic country. And then that atheistic country took down the papacy, right? That's verse 40a. That's that part right here. Okay, then we're going to fill in the details. And the king of the north, now the king of the north shall come against him. Now the king of the north will come against the king of the south. The king of the north is going to take revenge on the king of the south at the time of the end also. Like a whirlwind, with chariots and horsemen and ships, with military and economic power supplied by USA. And he shall enter into the countries and overflow and pass over. All right, so Reagan started making his unholy alliance in June 7, 1982. And he made his speech at the Brandenburg Gate, say, Gorbachev, Mr. Gorbachev, take down this wall. That's 1987. And on January 20, 1989, Bush was elected president. So he was the president in 1989, right? And then they took down the wall on November 9, 1989, using the military power, which is chariots and horsemen of America, and ships, which is the economic power. And we know that the Poland all fell because of CIA, right? Taking all their intelligence there and bringing down the Soviet East Bloc, right? And after that, everything crumbled. And it was symbolized by the fall of the Berlin Wall, right? Berlin Wall, November 9, 1989. Okay. And December 2, 1989 was when the King of the North, right, prevailed against the King of the South. Because the King of the South is still atheism, but atheism has now morphed into communism, right? Yeah. The King of the South. So the King of the South is the leader of atheistic ideology. And the King of the North is the leader of the Babylonian ideology, right? You have to keep that in mind all the time. To keep the King of the North straight from the King of the South. The King of the South is the one that sticks to the atheism ideology, Egypt, because Egypt was the original King of the South. He's the one that says, who is God? I don't know who God is. Why do you want to go and worship in the desert? No, I'm not going to let you go. Who is God? He's the original. He's the King of the South. He's the first atheistic country, right? And France became that atheistic country. So here, verse 40a right here, February 20, 1798. Verse 40b, starting here, is fulfilled in this time period from 82 to 1989. Okay? And then he will enter into the countries. Okay, the King of the North will come against him like a whirlwind with chariots, and he will come and enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. So we know, we got 40, the verse 40, all right? Part A and part B. Okay, this is the time of the end, right? And the time of the end shall the King of the South push at him, and the King of the North shall come at him. So this is also the time of the end, all right? 1989 is the time of the end. 1798 is the time of the end also. At this time of the end, there was Napoleon and Berthier, and this time of the end there was Reagan and Bush. All right. So you have to see the similarities and the what, because it's going to make a lot of difference of what actually happened. All right. Okay. So this is the time of the end. Now at the time of the end, okay. So between 1798 and 1989, what happened? I said, well, just go back to this history, right? What happened in 1798? Well, we know, we know that Voltaire, and who else? Who were the Enlightenment's philosophers of France? Voltaire, Rousseau, Diderot, right? They espoused freedom against a monarchy, right? And freedom against the church and the state. And they had a populist movement to try to overthrow the government that was led by King Louis XVI, right? And who led that eventually was Robespierre, right? And he had, he says, well, we got to get from under this tyranny. His motivation was a good motivation for the people, right? So the people were all behind him. But what happened to him? He turned around and became a dictator, and he basically, his party was the Jacobin party. Yeah, the Jacobin party. The Jacobin party wanted to use violence. To have a revolution, they have to have violence. And then they were against the Girondins, right? Yeah. Remember that? Yeah. Remember AP Euro?
Yeah. The Jacobins are like really radical.
Oh, radical. But the Girondins, they wanted to do it not by violence. Yeah. But who prevailed? The Jacobins prevailed. And the Jacobins had them all of them killed, right? With the guillotine, all right? Then they were all killed by the guillotine. And then Napoleon came, because Robespierre he eventually was guillotined himself. And then Napoleon came into power. And Napoleon came and became the dictator, right? And then he ruled Europe, right? And then he took down the papacy, right? That's the time of the end. What happened from there until 1989? So we're going to go here. We're going to go a little bit more into this. Remember, did the papacy condemn the French Declaration of Rights and Man? Yes, the papacy condemned it. Because, you don't have any right. The freedom of religion and the freedom of man is dictated by the church. The papacy condemned any constitution that says you have the freedom of religion. But the issue is that they can't do anything anymore now, because their power is gone. It was taken away already. They can't do it. But are they going to do something about it when their power comes back? Oh yeah, because Rome never changes, right? The papacy condemned that. All right, so what happened after that? Well, we see that the king of the south atheism morphed into communism. Now you got to see this. The story of the French Revolution essentially repeats again, okay? Because there were, from the time of the French Revolution on, there started to come philosophers who wanted to have a change in the society against capitalism and the monarchy. There were still monarchs, and they wanted to change it. But how did they want to change it? Through socialism, right? Right? And who was that? Marx and Engels. And what were their books that they wrote? Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital. Have you read these things?
I've read a little of the Communist Manifesto, but that's it.
Oh, that's it, huh? Yeah. Oh boy.
And also Mein Kampf.
Oh no, Mein Kampf. Okay, you get a chance later on. After this slide, we'll have that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Communist Manifesto. In the meantime, George Plekhanov. Did you go into the history in Russia? George Plekhanov?
Plekhanov, like the Russian Revolution?
Yeah.
1918?
Yeah, 1917. 1917.
That's when they withdrew from World War I.
George Plekhanov started reading these books, and he started to say, we need to overthrow the oppression that we're under, right?
Because they still have kings, right?
Under the Tsarist Russia.
Yeah.
So they were under the Tsarist Russia. Says we need to have a populist movement against the Tsarist Russia. Is it similar again? Right? And who is, instead of the Age of Enlightenment, they have Marx and Engels, right? They have a philosophy, right? So George Plekhanov, he says we need to have a revolution through education. But says, and this guy says, are you kidding? We can't have a revolution through education. We need a revolution through iron fist, right? Through an iron fist. And who is this? Vladimir Lenin. Vladimir, what was his actual name? What was that? No, his name is Vladimir Ulyanov, something like that. But he's known as Lenin, right?
Lenin.
Right. And he became the leader of the Mensheviks, which is a party that wanted to change revolution through education, right? Is it like the Girondins?
That part of history is a complete blur to me.
Right.
I forgot that.
And he became the leader of the Bolsheviks, who wanted a revolution through iron fist, right? Isn't that like the Girondins? And who won? The Bolsheviks. And they started their revolution in 1917, right? Yeah. right? And how many people died?
A lot.
9 million people. It's just incredible. It's just mind-boggling.
Especially the cutting.
Oh, can you imagine? What about at the French Revolution? How many people died? 40,000 people guillotined. You see the history? Isn't it the same? The same, right? They have this philosophy. They wanted to have a populist movement to overthrow the monarchy, and there was two competing ideologies, one through one through education and non-violence, the one through violence, and the violence won, and because of that there was a revolution, and so many people died. In the meantime, what did the papacy say about Russia? Oh, this is the part that is so interesting to me now. In 1917, there was, have you heard about the miracle of Fatima? For those who, the Filipinos know this very well, because you would have known this, because this is a Catholic country, right? Do you know about the miracle of Fatima? Atet, you know?
Yeah.
Atet will know. Okay, all right, very good. We will be enlightened by Atet.
What is it?
Okay, now what has the miracle of Fatima have anything to do with Russia? The miracle of Fatima, okay, this is just so amazing to me. This was in October 1917, right?
Yeah.
It was the Red October, right? And in the Red Tide, 9 million people died. But anyway, it's in October of 1917. The miracle of Fatima happened in October 1917. All right? This is pretty amazing. Okay. It's the miracle of sun, October 13, 1917. All right? What happened is there was three young children. Their names were, I got to read this. I'm sorry. For those who don't know this, it's Lucia dos Santos and her cousins Jacinta and Francisco Marto, right? So what they said, that they claim that they have seen Our Lady of Fatima and a sequence of panorama visions, right? They saw Jesus, they saw Our Lady of Sorrows, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and Saint Joseph. And they said that the lady told them that the lady was going to come and perform miracles. So all of them had to come and watch for these miracles every month, right? Up until October 1917.
And where is the location?
It's in Portugal.
Portugal?
Right. So it's in Portugal. So they eventually all came, and it is said that between, I've got to see this, between 30 and 40,000 Catholics all joined, and this is a picture of them. They joined, and on October 13th, they said that the miracle is going to come, and at noon, they all looked at the sun, and suddenly the sun came out of this kind of like a haze, and started dancing. It was a sun dance. I go, wow. I said, the Sundance Festival? Don't we know? But anyway, they started, it happened only 10 minutes, and Sundance. So they said it was the miracle of the sun. All right. So, okay. What does that have to do with Russia? Okay. The thing about it is, what's her name? This Lucia said that the Lady of Fatima gave her 3 secrets, and the secrets are to be revealed, right? So they were revealed slowly over time, and the first secret was, I'm gonna say, this is just too incredible. I have to, right?
So weird.
No, this is gonna be incredible, RC.
You're staring at.
All right. The first secret that was revealed was that she was able to see hell. and she saw demons and souls and human forms in purgatory, basically, right? Yeah, she was able. The second secret was that World War I would end, and there's going to be a prediction of another war during the reign of Pope Pius the 11th. And if that man should continue offending God, and here is what is interesting, and Russia not convert, the whole world will be without peace, and the church will suffer if Russia does not convert. Because of that, Russia has to be converted so that the world will come to peace. Do you see this? In 1917, they said, they said it later, that was the secret that was given, that Russia has to be converted for the world to be in peace.
They get converted in 1989, we didn't get peace.
See, that's the thing, right? So that's what that's why they wanted to take over Russia. The papacy will always want to. Why? Because it was the secret at Fatima. Now this is their version of Daniel 11. And the third secret, there's another third secret. The third secret is that she saw an angel. Okay, let me show this. An angel with a flaming sword in his left hand, flashing it, gave out flames that looked as if they would set the world on fire. And they said at the end of time, there's going to be an angel that will set the world on fire, but it's not the whole world. It's not. So they interpret this as there's going to be a nuclear war at the end of time. And then they saw that the Catholic Church went into apostasy, and that the father with a white robe is going to get killed. So they go, oh, what does that all mean? But the problem is that everybody has different interpretations of it. So when you go on the internet, I'm pretty sure, I've piqued your curiosity. You're going to go tonight and find out what is the secrets of Fatima. It's amazing because nobody actually really wants to give a clear understanding of what this third secret is. As a matter of fact, some people say there's no third secret. The fourth secret is that there's no third secret, or it's pretty amazing. But the second secret is that Russia has to be converted for the world to have peace, right?
That's not biblical.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, what's that?
Maybe, yeah, but like the whole Fatima thing, that's a whole.
Yeah, well, that's what
They're
the
saying.
yeah.
And a lot of millions of people believe it.
Oh, if you go there, it's amazing. It's amazing.
They still go for pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage into Fatima in Portugal. Right? Look at this. This is actually a photograph from 1917. Right. Okay. All right. So we have to see. So this, from the time of from 1798 until 1989, there's a big gap of what is, and this and is a long time, right? Because what happened at this time? The Vatican still, now that we know that the Vatican wants Russia, right? Wants to convert Russia. So how does the Vatican is going to convert Russia? It needs a military power. So the Lateran Treaty in 1929 was made by Benito Mussolini, right? And Gasparo Gaspar. Anyway, Cardinal Gaspar and Benito Mussolini signed the Lateran Treaty, right, in 1929, that they will make a pact that Italy would recognize the Vatican and give back the Vatican its seat, right? Because the Vatican lost its seat, but now the Vatican is given back its seat in the Vatican City. And now the Vatican will recognize Italy as a country, So now they have a pact. And what was one of the first things that Mussolini did? He joined with Hitler, Mein Kampf. Right? They made a pact between this is the Axis power, right? This is the fascist power of Italy joined with the Nazi power. And what was their goal? To convert Russia. They went and tried to go to Stalingrad and try to convert Russia. But were they successful? Obviously not.
Was
Right.
Hitler a Christian?
He's a Protestant. What is a Protestant? Germany is a Protestant country, right? But the papacy will use any country. You know, is Hitler strong? Okay, but Mussolini strong? I will use them because I need to get back Russia. If the world has to come in peace, we're gonna do it. We have to convert Russia, but they were unsuccessful, right, at that time, right?
So the Virgin of Fatima, that's kind of their basis for. It's like
I never knew that. I never knew that until just a couple of weeks ago, that it had something to do with Fatima, right? Okay, all right. Okay, so this is what happened. They had Russia, in the meantime, took over these countries, Estonia. All right, now I'm going to read this. They took over Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, all these, Belarus, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, all these countries, okay? Let me go into this. Estonia was a Lutheran country. Latvia is a Catholic and Lutheran country. Lithuania is a Catholic country. So this was taken over by the communists now, all right? And the Soviet bloc took over Poland. What country is Poland? Catholic. Bulgaria was Eastern Orthodox. Hungary is Catholic. Czechoslovakia is Catholic. Romania is Eastern Orthodox. Albania is Muslim. And then East Germany, that's actually Protestant. But then they also took over Yugoslavia, which consisted of Orthodox Christian Serbs, Catholic Croats, and Muslim Bosnians, right? So what did Russia do? He took over a lot of Catholic countries, right? So this is why it has to be reconverted, because the papacy wants back her daughters, right? We have to convert back Russia. A lot of these countries were the Catholics, right? Okay. Oh, studying prophecy, and you start to see that it has been fulfilled and continues to be fulfilled. It's just so amazing, right? Yeah. Okay. So what happened at the time of the end? Obviously, we're coming up to 1989, and we know the time of the end, as we studied, is in Daniel 9 and Daniel 10, is the first year of Darius. Because the first year of Darius, I'm not going to read the whole verse because we studied this so many times. The first year of Darius is when Babylon fell. And Babylon fell after 70 years of reign, after they defeated the Assyrians, right? Is the 70 years, right? Came to Jeremiah the prophet. He would accomplish 70 years, right? This 70 years that Babylon reigned was also followed by the 70 years of the Jews being in Babylon. So God's people, their probation ended when the probation also ended for the country that was dominating them, right? Yeah, that they were in, right? Okay, that's very important, right? Okay, so the third year of Cyrus is when the decree was given for them to go back after 70 years being in Babylon, correct? So this is the time of the end. Then we go to the part here. How are we with time here? Oh, we're very good. Okay. Daniel 11 verse 1 and 2. Now we go to Daniel 11 verse 1 and 2. This is the part that we studied. And in the first year of Darius, meaning at the time of the end. At the time of the end, even I stood to confirm, to strengthen him. And now I will show ye the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings. There's going to be 3 kings that stand up in Persia. And we know Persia represents America, right? Because Persia is a 2-horned beast and America is a 2-horned beast. And the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. This is a very long study that we've done many times already. But we know that after the time of the end, at the time of the end, who were the presidents at the time of the end? Bush and Reagan, right? It says, yet there shall be 3 kings in America. Who is the 3 kings after that? After Bush, Clinton, Bush the younger, Obama, right? There's the 3 kings that comes after the time of the end, right? The 3 kings that come in. And the 4th shall be what? Far richer. When we first studied this, we said, it cannot be. It was during the election. And we said, what? Are you sure? It's impossible. How could this guy who's far richer than all of them be elected? It's impossible. The opponent is leading by 20 points or 15 points. It's impossible for this 4th one to be richer than all of them to be actually the king. And at the last moment, he was elected. And by his strength, through his riches. What is strength and riches? Military and economic. So this is talking about America, right? Because that's the 2-horned powers of America. Through the military and the economic power, he shall, what is he going to do? He's going to stir up the realm of Grecia. What is Grecia? The world. He's going to stir up. Have you seen that he's stirring up the realm of Grecia? Do you see this now that is happening? Brothers and sisters, we are living in Daniel 11 verse 2. He is stirring up the realm of Grecia. How many executive orders did he write that is making the whole world angry? Is he stirring up the realm of Grecia? Was he far richer than all of them? He was the richest president of all the presidents, all 44 presidents, since the first president of America, well, not really the first president, but the first president under the Constitution of America was Washington. And he was the richest president up until Obama. And then Trump is richer. But Trump is not as rich as, well, that's true. But Trump is not as rich as Washington. Because if Washington was, his money is actually converted to today's dollars, he would be richer than the Waltons, Walmart. He will be richer than Walmart. He controls so much land that his riches would be, he would be richer than Walmart, the Waltons. All right. But there was no other king. So the first king is the richest king, typifies the beginning, typifies the end. Oh boy. And he's stirring up the realm. So we're going to go up into stirring up. What does stir up mean? Now that's in the Hebrew word 5782. Well, we got to look up in the Bible. Where's another word that is 5782? It is in wake up. It's in Joel 3. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Is he waking up the world towards war? There's going to be war soon. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into sword and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourself and come up, all you heathen. Right? And the heathen will be awakened. And they will come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. And the valley of Jehoshaphat is the valley of decision. The valley of decision. Why does it say twice?
Twice.
Midnight cry. All right? The valley of decisions. Because the heathen will have to come up and start making their decision. They're still going to start seeing. Right? They're going to see you being lifted up. Right? When you being lifted up, they're going to start seeing you. And they're going to have to start making a decision. Right? But at that time, there's going to be the world is going to be stirred up. The realm of Grecia is going to be stirred up. The realm of Grecia is going to be waken up to a war.
The verse 14 started in multitudes.
Multitudes. I should have made the yellow. Good thing. Okay. We know that prophetically. That's a midnight cry. Okay. All right. Oh, where is this statue? Nathan, do you remember where this statue is? Very famous statue. It's at the United Nations. Right. At the United Nations in New York. Because under this is Isaiah 2 verse 4. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nations shall not lift up swords against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
Describe Isaiah 2:4.
Yeah, this is Isaiah 2 verse 4.
They're promoting unity.
Yeah, they promote unity. But what? It's going to be stirred up. It's actually the opposite is going to happen, right? And this king, who's far richer than them all, is stirring up the realm of Grecia to war. Okay. So what's the realm of Grecia? We have to have the Bible decipher it for us. And there were certain Greeks among them. This is when Jesus was in the temple. And there were some Greeks that came among them that came up to worship at the feast. And came some therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Jesus. Hey, we want to see Jesus, right? The Greeks want to see Jesus at the valley of Jehoshaphat. Right? They start wanting to see Jesus. Okay? What did Ellen White say about this in Desire of Ages? The final separation had come. To his disciples, the case seemed hopeless. But Christ was approaching the consummation of his work. The great event which concerned not only the Jewish nation, but the whole world was about to take place when Christ heard the eager request, we would see Jesus, echoing the hungering cry of the world. His countenance lighted up, and he said, the hour is come that the Son of Man shall be glorified. In the request of the Greeks, he saw an earnest result of the great sacrifice. Greece prophetically signifies the world, right? And the world will want to start seeing. They're coming to the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley of decisions. They want to make a decision, right? All right. Okay. The law of God through the agency of Satan is to be made void in our land, boasted freedom. Religious liberty will come to an end. The contest will be decided over the Sabbath question, which will agitate the whole world, right?
What's HM?
HM is home missionary. Home missionary, okay? The world is going to be agitated, all right? Okay. Now, this is from Uriah Smith, Daniel and Revelation. So, we go back when we see that the three kings that came up, all right? There was Cyrus and Darius at the time of the end. That's when Babylon was conquered by Medo-Persia. There was Cyrus and Darius. And then came up 3 kings. There was Cambyses.
Put the number.
Who was next? I'm starting to forget now. Cambyses, false Smerdis, and Xerxes, right? And Xerxes was
Just put the number after that.
was far richer. And what this Cambyses, there were Cambyses, Smerdis, Darius Hystaspes, and the fourth shall be far richer than they all. Who is the fourth? Is Xerxes. And who is Xerxes?
Esther's husband.
Esther's husband, which is
Artichoke.
Ahasuerus, right? All right. And what did Xerxes do? In that history, he stirred up the realm of Grecia, right? What did he do? He went to war against Greece. All right. The fourth king, he was famous for his riches, then his generalship, and conspicuous in history for the magnificent campaign he organized against Grecia, and his utter failure in that enterprise. Oh
It
boy.
Sounds like him today.
You know, he's gonna make war, but he's gonna fail
He's
big
a good
time.
general.
He's gonna be a poor general, but he's gonna fail. Okay, this is gonna happen. You know, we're gonna have to believe the Bible, because the Bible says that this king is gonna make a big war against the world, but he's gonna fail big time. His utter failure in that enterprise. He was to stir up all against the realm of Grecia. Never before had there been such a levy of men for warlike purposes. Never has there been since. His army, according to Herodotus was the historian, right? Who lived in that age, consisted of 5,283,220 men. Can you imagine 5 million people going to war at that time? That's amazing. And not content with stirring up the east alone, he enlisted the Carthaginians of the west. Carthaginians is from North Africa,
Yeah, Tunisia.
from Tunisia, who took the field with additional army of 300,000 men, raising his entire force to an almost fabulous number of over 5.5 million. So this king is gonna go into a big war, and what's gonna happen? He's gonna lose big time. Okay, so we see this from history, but do we see it from the Bible? Does the Bible say it? Okay, we're gonna see it in the story when we study Daniel 11. All right, the first part we're gonna see what kind of war is America going to go into, and that she's gonna lose big time. All right, as Xerxes looked over that vast concourse, he is said to have swept at the thought that in 100 years from that time, not one of all these men would be left alive. Pretty amazing. He was a very inept general.
That's your way of saying.
He's not smart.
He's not smart. He's not. Oh boy. You know, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. We're just going to learn the details, and when we study Daniel 11, we're going to see who is he going to come up and make a war for, and he's going to lose, and when that's going to happen. All right. Okay. We will continue. Okay. In the meantime, what is happening with, God's people have to go through their probation too, because there's going to be a probation, right? Time of the end, right? The word of the Lord came again to me, saying, Son of man, when the land sinneth against me by trespassing grievously, then will I'm going to stretch out my hand over, and I'm going to break the staff of bread. And I'm going to send noisome beasts. And I'm going to bring a sword, and I'm going to send pestilence. Right? You can read this, all of this in Ezekiel 14. What does this sound like? Leviticus 26. Right? Leviticus 26. It's the repetition of Leviticus 26. If you don't obey me, I'm going to send all these. I'm going to send all these, the pestilence, the sword, the noisome beast. I will break the staff of your bread, and I'm going to stretch out my hand. Even if Noah, Daniel, and Jacob were there, these three will not deliver your sons and daughters. Right? because I'm going to, even Noah, Daniel, and Job were there. Because you have gone against me, I'm going to send the beasts, the sword, the pestilence, all right, and the famine. All right, we continue. And thus says the Lord God, how much more when I send 4 sore judgments upon Jerusalem? Oh, it's Jerusalem. Sword, famine, beast, and pestilence. Cut off from it man and beast. Yet behold, there shall be left a...
remnants.
Oh. Even though I send these 4 sore judgments, a remnant still going to come out. Okay. That shall be brought forth, both sons and daughters. Behold, they shall come forth unto you, and ye shall see their way and their doings, and shall be comforted concerning the evil that had brought upon Jerusalem. All right? So this is going to be against Jerusalem. All right? But this is also going to go against the land. All right? Okay, when is these 4 judgments are going to go upon the land? Remember when Jerusalem is coming to its end of probation, right? It's also the end of probation for the land that's oppressing Israel, right? Yeah, you'll see that it happens also in the end time. That's what's going to happen, right? Okay, where did it? Okay, well, I gotta backtrack here a little bit, because we're gonna see what happens during the time of the Egyptians when God's people was in the land of Egypt and God is going to punish Egypt, right? How many plagues? 10 plagues. 10 plagues. But we'll go into a little bit detail here. How are we doing with time? We're okay. All right. Now this is the covenant that Abram made with Jesus, with God, just as he had come out of Haran, right? He went from Babylon to Haran, and then he went, that's kind of north, and then he went down south again, and then he settled, right? And then he had a covenant, right? And this is the covenant that he had. Okay, you'll see where I'm going here when I'm done with this. And when the sun was gone down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And lo, an hour of great darkness. There was a great darkness that fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know for a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. So it's a prophecy. Your seed will be afflicted for 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And then I will judge that nation. Okay? This is obviously Egypt. I'm going to judge them. And after they shall come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in good age. But in the 4th generation, there shall come out hither. For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. What? The Amorites, right? All right, okay, we're not going to go there. But anyway. And it came to pass that when the sun went down, it was dark. Behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp passed between those 2 pieces. So he had divided the sacrifice into 2. And there was a smoking furnace and a burning lamp. All right? What does that all mean? We studied this, right? It was predicting what is going to happen when the time of the Jews are the Hebrews are gonna come out, right? Okay. Moses was directed to take ashes of the furnace and sprinkle it toward heaven in the sight of Pharaoh. This act was deeply significant. 400 years before, God had shown to Abraham the future oppression of his people under the figure of a smoking furnace and burning lamp, right? A lamp and a burning furnace and burning lamp and a smoking furnace passed through the sacrifice. And that was symbolic of what's going to happen when the 10 plagues come. He had declared that he would visit judgments upon the oppressors. That's the 10 plagues. and would bring forth the captives with great substance. See, they were captives right there in Egypt. In Egypt, Israel had languished in the furnace of affliction. So that's the furnace, right? The act of Moses was an assurance to them that God was mindful of his covenant at the time of their deliverance had come. All right. So what did he do? Now, I think this is the one that, which plague did this represent? The furnace and the ashes of the furnace. Right. We go now to Exodus 9. And the Lord said unto Moses and unto Aaron, take to you handful of ash of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it toward the heaven in the sight of sight of Pharaoh. And it shall become small dust in the land of Egypt, and shall be a boil, breaking forth into veins throughout all the land. And they took ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses sprinkled it up toward heaven. So he's sprinkling ash, right? This is symbolic of the ash of the furnace that was at the sacrifice at the time of Abram, right? This is 400 years earlier. This is 400 years, right? So this was about the boils, right? The boils. That's the boils. Which number is that?
6.
That's number 6. All right. Okay. This is, she got her notes, she got her cheat sheet. This is number 6. Okay, this is very significant, right? What has, right? Because 6 is then, how many plagues after number 6?
There's 3
There's 4 more.
more.
There's 4 more plagues, all right? Okay, this is number 6, right? And then the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning. All right, so this is plague number 7. Rise up early in the morning. So he's supposed to rise up right here. Okay, that's significant. You rise up here and you rise up here. Rise up early in the morning. Stand before Pharaoh and say, thus saith the Lord God of Hebrews, let my people go, that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all my plagues. Now this is the boils right here. This is basically the end of the 400 years. And now he's going to say, at the 7th plague, I'm going to send all my plagues. Wow, how could it say all my plagues? You know, these are the plagues right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's going to say all the plagues right here. Upon thine heart, upon thy servants, upon thy people, that thou mayest know that there is none like me in all the earth. For now I will stretch out my hand. And when I stretch out my hand, I'm going to give you the four sore judgments, right? And these are all my plagues. So there's these 4 sore judgments that's going to come, right? Here are the 4 sore judgments. This very deed for this cause have I raised thee up. I have raised thee up for this. And then what happened here? What's the 7th plague? It's going to be a grievous hail, right? Okay. And so here's the grievous hail. This is hail, and this is locusts, and this is the darkness, the day of the darkness, all right? And this is the eldest son being killed by the angel, the destroying angel, right? Okay. What does that mean? This is pestilence. This is famine. This is the smoke out of the bottomless pit, which is the noisome beast, right? The smoke out of the bottomless pit that caused darkness, right? And the air and the sun was darkened, right? And this is the sword. These are the 4 sore judgments against, right? Against Egypt. So 4 sore judgments against Egypt, 4 sore judgments against Jerusalem, and a remnant will come out. So then the remnant comes out. What was that?
The angels in
Revelation.
Revelation.
4 angels of Revelation. Revelation 18, the 4th angel.
4 angels.
yeah, after the third angel, the fourth angel is Revelation 18, right? Or the four angels that hold the winds. Hold the winds. Hold the winds, right? The four winds, right? Because if you see, this is hail, this is locust. What does locust represent? Islam. And what is the smoke that covers the sun? It's Islam too. The four sore winds. All right. So we know Islam is big in prophecy. All right. And the four sore judgments also includes Islam. It's not all Islam, but it includes Islam. All right. Hail. Wow. Hail it destroys all the crops. So that's famine, That's famine. But, and then after that, can you imagine? First you have famine, and then the locust comes.
It destroys everything.
I mean, it says from this time on, all these things that happen here do not happen in Goshen. Because I have divided you from Egypt. Goshen is divided from the third plague on. So we have to know that we have to be in Goshen before the fourth plague spiritually, right? Spiritually it's fourth plague. We cannot be in Egypt. We cannot be in bondage when the fourth plague comes. We are living between the second and the third right now. We're living right here between the second and third. Okay? All right. Pretty amazing. That's why we have friends right now, even as we speak, looking for Goshen. All right. Okay. All right. How are we time? Okay, we're okay. All right. So I'm just going to go here just as a review. What is this 400 years? Where is the 400 years that Israel was in bondage to? What prophecy is that? All right, I have all the dates. I mean the years. Abraham was born, and when he was 75 years, he went out and he followed, right? He went to Haran, and then Isaac was born when he was 100 years old. And then Isaac was mocked by who? Ishmael. When Isaac was weaned. And we know weaning happens when they're 5 years old. So this is not an exact day. It's not an exact, but it doesn't say exactly it was 5 years. But we know that's because it fits exactly in the prophecy. So Isaac was mocked here, and then Jacob enters Egypt 185 years later, because it was 190 years. Isaac would have been 190 years when Jacob enters, but Isaac already obviously was dead already. And then they stayed in Egypt for 215 years. So where's the 400 years? So we said, Acts 7 verse 16. And God spake on this wise, that his seed shall sojourn in a strange land, and then they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil for 400 years. So how is this 400 years? Were they really in Egypt for 400 years? No, they were in Egypt for 215 years. So how is it they are entreated by Egypt for 400 years? Who was Isaac being mocked by? Ishmael. Who is Ishmael's mother? Hagar. She was an Egyptian. So is Ishmael an Egyptian?
Yes.
So Ishmael entreated the son of Isaac for 400 years up until they came out. This is the 400 years, right? From the time that... Right, okay. All right, you see that? And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before of God in Christ, the law which was 430 years after. So the covenant is 430 years. So where's this 430 years then? Okay, so they will say, your seed, you will have a seed that will, your seed will have to go into Egypt and have to serve there until that seed will come out. All right, so where's that 430 years? So you see this 400 and this is 30, and the covenant was given right here. That was 430 years, this covenant, all the time until the time of the Exodus, right? That's the 430 years. This is the 400. This is the 430 years. Obviously, we have more, but I'm not going to go into that. There's more. That's about 400. There's more prophecies that we can go, but I just wanted to show this one. The 400 and the 430 years that ends at basically the sixth plague, right? Right. And then they receive the 4 sore judgments. Okay. For many centuries, God's people suffered a restriction of their liberties. The preaching of the gospel in its purity was prohibited, and the severest of penalties were visited upon those who dared disobey the mandates of men. As a consequence, the Lord's great moral vineyard was almost wholly unoccupied. The people were deprived in the light of God's word. The darkness of error and superstition threatened to blot out the knowledge of the true religion. God's church on earth was verily in captivity during this long period of persecution. We did this before. How many years was this long period of persecution? 1260 years, right? And which was the same as the captivity in Babylon. So the 1260 years is the same as the 70 years. All right? This was the Hebrew church. The Hebrew church was in Babylon for 70 years. And that is the same as the 1260 years of the wilderness. And what church is this? This is the Christian church. Right. So the 70 is the same as the 1260. And this is what is called at this point right here, at the end of their time of darkness. What is called right here? The time of the end, right? The time of the end. Okay, so this is the Hebrew church. All right? When you go into the 7 churches, what is this 1260 is? What does this 1260, which church represents the church during this 1260 time of persecution? Thyatira, right? Pergamos is when they compromise. So first they compromise here, and then they have a Thyatira. So this Thyatira church in the Christian church is also the Thyatira also in the Hebrew church. We'll go into this. This is very interesting because it's the same thing. So you'll see the 7 churches in the time of the Hebrew church, but also in the Christian church, because we're living here at the end, which is Laodicea, right? Laodicea. Anyway, just another different angle of how to look at the 70 years, because at the end of 70 and the end of 1260 is the time of the end, right? Okay. All right, let me see. I will go one more. All right, and the 70 years. I'm just going to concentrate. There's multiple 70 years. We're going to concentrate right here. There's a 70 years here, where the time of Manasseh until the time of Jehoiakim. And after that, there's another 70 years. This 70 years is when Daniel was taken from Judah and he was taken to Babylon, right? And the children of Israel had to suffer for 70 years until the decree of Cyrus was given on the 3rd year of Cyrus, right? So this is the time of the end, because that's also the time of the end for the Babylonian kingdom. Babylonian kingdom conquered Assyria in 609 and eventually came down, was defeated by Cyrus and Darius in 539. Exactly 70 years. So this is the time of the end, all right? Okay. All right. I think we're going to stop here now. But this is just an introduction of what is actually we are going to build up, because knowing all this will be able to put in the pieces of what is actually happening in the story in Daniel 11 verses 1, 2, 3, 4 and on, which fill in the pieces of what is going to happen between Daniel 40. Let me see if I have it here. Okay, so this is the time of the end. All right. We'll end right here. Daniel 11 verse 41. And he shall enter. All right. See, we know that this is verse 40a and this is verse 40 part B, right? This is Napoleon and Berthier, France, taking down the papacy, and America starts, right? 1798, right? Okay, and then here we know this has become communism and everything like that. Communism was taken down by Reagan and Bush, right? Joining with the papacy to take down Russia in 1989, all right? And then verse 41, the next verse says, he shall enter into the glorious land. Who is he? The King of the North. He will enter into the glorious land, and many, it's not many countries. Countries is a supplied word. And many shall be overthrown. And all these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom, Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. All right. What does this describe? What is that?
Glorious land is
Oh, not the details, but exactly what is this event right here?
Sunday law.
This is the Sunday law, right? Because the King of the North is going to enter America, which is the glorious land. And many shall be overthrown, right? But Edom, Moab, and Ammon, some of the Gentiles will escape and join with the remnant, right? With the remnant. Some will join with the remnant, and they will. This describes the Sunday law. So this is verse 40a. This is verse 40b. And this here is verse 41. That's the Sunday law. What happens in between? That's what we're filling in. We already know verse 1 and 2. There's going to be the kings, right? The three kings. The three kings, there's going to be Clinton, all right? Verse 1 and 2, that we add in Clinton, Bush, and Obama, and then we know it's Trump. Just reading verse 1 and 2. And then we're gonna go into verse 3 and 4, and we're gonna know what's going to happen, right? It's going to turn into a dictatorship. And they're going to go against stir up the realm of Grecia. And we go more and more. And we're going to fill in the detail of exactly what's going to happen here. Because we've already passed here. What's the details here? We know there's a detail. With multiple Bible studies, we have seen what is going to, because we know there's a midnight. And we know there's a midnight cry. Right? And just by multiple other Bible studies, but not from Daniel 11, we can fill in the details. But we were going to find out that Jesus declares the end from the beginning. So from the beginning of Daniel 11, we can fill in the details of the end of Daniel 11. All right? So that's what we're going to keep doing, okay? We'll see how long this will last. But it's going to be interesting, because we have to know what's going to happen at the end time. Because those who are not watching and praying, the thief, Jesus' return will appear to them as a thief that comes in the night. But those who are watch and pray will be ready. All right? And that is the more sure word of prophecy. Okay. All right.